I've been looking for a replacement for my trusty but a little long in the tooth Milwaukee drill drivers now for quite a while, and I finally settled on the Bosch Flexi system. I'll explain in a little bit more detail later on in the video why I've jumped ship from the Milwaukee to the Bosch, but for now let's have a look in the box. So first of all, it comes in yet another sustainer. I didn't want one, but I didn't find the choice to order the kit without the sustainer. Manufacturers, if by any chance you see this video, please give us the option not to have another plastic box hanging around. Anyway, I've got a 60-watt charger, the tool itself, and two 2-amp-hour batteries. So as with other systems, right on the front of the tool I can put a bit in, or I can use one of the accessories that comes with it. I've got a tool bit holder, I've got a 10mm chuck, keyless 10mm chuck, I've got an angled adapter that'll take either the tool bit holder or the 10mm keyless chuck, and I've also got an offset tool bit holder. Now, whilst this video is a review of the Bosch Flexi system, I'm going to be drawing some comparisons as I go through looking at the kit, and I'm going to be comparing it to the Milwaukee drill driver that I've owned for a number of years, because this is intended as a replacement for this. But I'm also going to be comparing it to the Festool Centrotec system, because it appears to be a challenger, a competitor to that. So once again, as I've got that, I'll draw some comparisons to it. So first off, the tool itself. It's really quite ergonomically shaped. It feels very comfortable in the hand. Well, in my hand anyway. Battery fits in and removable quite nicely. And it feels reasonably well weighted. As you'd expect, only a few controls on the device itself. There's a progressive on-off switch, giving you variable speed. There's a left and right selector and a 2-speed selector up the top. And then there's torque setting at the very front of the device itself, which you can wind right the way around to the drill setting, which disengages the clutch. So let's take a look at the tool bit adapters themselves, the bits that fit on the front of the devices. But just before we do that, I want to draw your attention to the differences between the tool bit holders that are available on the market at the moment. And in essence, there are two types. There's a universal type and the Centrotec type, the Festool type. So the universal type has a very small piece that extends below the indent that the device uses to lock the bit holder in place. The Festool Centrotec type has a much longer piece of metal that extends below the indent type. And by virtue of that fact, they are not compatible at all. One won't fit the other. So if I take the universal type, pop it into the Bosch, fine. Pop it into the Milwaukee, fine. Pop it into the Festool, no, it won't even fit in there. The Festool bit, Centrotec, fits in lovely and locks as you'd expect. Will go into the Milwaukee, but won't lock. Will go into the Bosch, but won't lock. Not a bad fit, but it's not going to lock in there and could stay with could drop out the end in usage. Now, in almost contradiction to that, there are some manufacturers that are now making bits that will fit in both, and you can clearly see that they've got the indent at the bottom and the deeper, further indent at the top as well. So just need to pay a little bit of attention when you're buying your bits to make sure you're buying the one that suits the tool that you've got. So now I'm just going to compare the Milwaukee to the Bosch from a perspective of how well does it hold the bit, and placing the bit holder in as well. With the Bosch, I've got to pull the little ring back to enable me to get the bit in. It won't go in without retracting that ring, and then it's held in place, locked in place. With the Milwaukee, because it operates the other way round, it locks in place automatically, so I don't need an extra hand with that, and I can change the bit with one hand. And if you're in the middle of a job holding something and you think, darn, I've not prepared properly, then it is possible to just swap bits with the Milwaukee and carry on with the job with one hand. You're not going to do that with the Bosch. You could easily argue that you should be a little more prepared, but if you're underneath a kitchen cabinet trying to do something, you invariably forget, or I do anyway. The other thing I've noticed between the Milwaukee and the Bosch is how firmly the bit's held in place. So if I use the same bit holder, pop that in and spin it up, I'll put it on double speed. Hopefully that you can see there's a little deflection in the end. And let's do the same with the Milwaukee. I don't have two speeds to set. There isn't very much deflection on the end at all. I'll do that again with the Bosch at the lower speed. So it feels to me that that's not held in quite as firmly on the Bosch as it is with the Milwaukee. And that's been in use for some 6-8 years. The Festool blows them both out the water because the tool bit holder sinks into the tool bit adapter so much further that it's absolutely solid. And if I use the longer bit, there's a little deflection on the end, but considering that's over twice the length, hardly any at all. So the Festool has got it in this comparison for me, followed by the Milwaukee, with the Bosch being the least firmly held bit of the three and the slightly more awkward to put in place. The next thing I'm going to compare is their ability to just drive some screws into a piece of softwood. So I've got some 50mm, some 80mm and some 150mm screws. I appreciate that these are probably pushing the devices to their absolute limit, if indeed they're capable, but it'll be good to see what they're like. I've got each of the devices set on their maximum clutch setting and all on their lowest speed, apart from the Milwaukee, which is preset on the speed. So let's see how they do. The Bosch first. The Milwaukee. And the Festool. Nothing really there to choose between them. Let's move on to the 80mm. So that hit the clutch, or rather the clutch kicked in and did its job. Now that was interesting. I didn't feel the need to put my other hand on that one, which is really indicative of that bit holder being more firmly held in the adapter at the front there. And finally, the 150mm. So the clutch kicked in at that point. I'll leave that there for a tick. See how the Milwaukee does. Milwaukee gave up there. So Festool, Milwaukee, Bosch. And now let's wind them round to their drill settings and see whether they'll drive them in all the way. Not bad. No, Milwaukee didn't like that. So the Bosch and the Festool managed it, the Milwaukee didn't. And now, will they take them out? So the Bosch, no trouble at all. Milwaukee's struggling a bit on this. Well, I actually think the Bosch performed the best. It sounded as if the motor was coping far easier, definitely than the Milwaukee, and a little bit easier than the Festool. Interestingly, the Milwaukee and the Bosch are both using 2 ampere batteries, and the Festool's using a 2.6. So I think points to the Bosch on that little test. The next test I want to try is their ability to drill a hole. So I've got 3 drill bits, a 5mm, an 8mm and a 10mm. The 10mm being the max that the chucks will take, 10mm keyless chucks. I can't test the Milwaukee because I don't have a chuck for it. So I'll compare the Festool with the Bosch. Going with the 5mm first. On their drill settings. I'd have been amazed if either one had an issue with a 5mm drill bit. Let's try the 8. And finally the 10. Now the Festool does not like the 10mm. The Bosch, however, didn't appear to bat an eyelid at that, did it? Let's do that again. That's impressive. Straight through. So to summarise, I appreciate not really an apples for apples comparison, but for me I wanted to compare a new piece of kit against the piece of kit I'm potentially replacing with also another piece of kit that I've currently got. The Milwaukee, as I've mentioned, I've had for somewhere around 6 or 8 years. It's performed more than admirably, superbly. Every time I've taken it to site, every time I've wanted to put in a screw, take out a screw, always reach for the Milwaukee. I find it extremely comfortable in the hand and very well balanced. And out of the 3, it's still my favourite. But that could well be because I'm so used to it and it so comfortable with it. Although in saying that, the Bosch is very, very similar in the hand, very comfortable, and I really don't think I'm going to have any issues using that at all. The Festool, I don't care for the hand feel as much, but that's just my opinion. You may well feel differently. As far as the adapters that come with it are concerned, the Bosch comes with an angle adapter, an offset tool bit holder, a 10mm keyless chuck, and a direct tool bit holder. The Milwaukee is just a driver, not a drill driver, so it didn't come with any accessories. The Festool comes with the keyless 10mm chuck, tool bit adapter, and an angled adapter. Does not come with the offset tool bit holder adapter. So price point, as of the release date of this video, the Bosch Flexi Click system, £170 including VAT. The Milwaukee Contender, that appears to come with almost identical adapters, is £164 plus VAT. The Festool that doesn't come with the offset adapter is £270 plus VAT. So during the tests, I felt and still feel that the Milwaukee's the most comfortable in the hand, but as mentioned, that could be just because I'm so used to it. I felt that the Bosch delivered the most power and dealt with the 150mm screws the easiest. But I also feel that the Festool gives you the most secure tool bit holder in the adapter with no flex at the end. So where does that leave you? Well, I really feel it's going to be down to personal preference, along with the amount of investment you've already got in the battery estate in your workshop at the time. And nothing in this test has made any one of them stand out over and above the other. But it has left me really wondering what the new currently available Milwaukee version of the Bosch Flexi Click system is like, and I'd really like to get my hands on one and try that in the comparison as opposed to my old faithful. Anyway, I hope that there was something in this video of interest and ideally of benefit to you if you're out and about currently looking for a new subcompact drill driver. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Ta-ra.